Nation worldwide, let's celebrate. Yeah.
All right. We are celebrating. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 21st edition of Next Generation Tech Talks. My name is Phil Calzadilla. I'm the CEO and founder of NextNet Partners. And part of the reason why we're celebrating is because we were just announced this week that we qualified for the Inc. 500 list. Those of you probably know, Inc. every year creates a list of the 5,000 top companies, and we were in the top 10% of that. And we were really happy, very grateful to our clients, to our team members, to our partners, very humbled actually by the recognition, and really excited to continue our growth. And part of our growth and part of what we're doing is really talking to clients a lot about security. So to meet that end today, I have with me Mr. Bryant-g-tow. And Bryant, are you there?
I am, Phil. Thank you.
Excellent. And Bryant is just one of those guys that, you know, you read about. He actually scares me a little bit. I've seen what he can do when he opens up a laptop and starts showing folks how easy it is to get on the dark web. But give you a little background on Bryant. He was the CISO at a very large company called CSC. Anyone in the industry knows who those guys are. Partner at Capco. He's a president of InfraGard in his area. He's a distinguished fellow of the Ponymon Institute. And today he's our business partner. We're very excited to work with him on the whole CyberRisk Solutions, teaming up with NextNet Partners. And it's something that we're really excited about. So Bryant, thank you so much for taking time today to be with us.
I appreciate the opportunity.
So tell me a little bit, this Ponymon Institute, I know it's not the Pokemon Institute, it's the Ponymon Institute. Probably shouldn't say that. But tell me a little bit, because I know that's a pretty amazing group, and I've heard you talk about them before and some of the things you're doing there.
Yeah, so I'm sure it wouldn't be the first time Dr. Ponymon, Larry, has heard that joke. So I've been working with Larry and his team, I guess, back probably about 10, 11 years or so ago. So if you've ever heard the cost of a data breach, that most of that information comes from the Ponymon Institute. So they specialize in security research and so forth. Most of the statistics that you hear on just about any topic, whether it's mobile computing or laptops or cloud or anything like that, they basically do a lot of the market research on trends and so forth. And a couple of years ago, I guess it's been 4 or 5 years ago, Dr. Ponymon invited people that he had recognized, I guess, in the industry as thought leaders, and established a forum that he called the Ponymon Fellows, and invited me to be a distinguished fellow with his organization. Essentially what that means is we get to be heavily involved in the research. We have a meeting once a year out west that they bring sort of a consortium, a think tank, if you will, of the people together to discuss emerging trends, sort of future casting, if you will, on what security items look like, where the threats are coming from, nation-state actors, organized crime, those kind of things, and also what some of the technology issues that we're going to be facing are.
That's great. Very, very powerful. So great background. I mean, we're so glad to be talking to you about security, and it's so top of mind nowadays for clients. I mean, pretty much can't pick up a newspaper or something, I should say a newspaper, I'm aging myself, read a Google article or something where we're talking about someone getting hacked and some big breach going on, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost become white noise. After the Target breach, and then later Home Depot, within those periods of time, it's really interesting how the media has really taken a hold of that. So the interesting thing about the media coverage is that you really only ever see media coverage on the breaches of what we call custodial data. More importantly with the media is they cover the stories from the people that buy ads on their media. So whether you're watching MSNBC or Fox News or whichever side you happen to sit on, the breaches that they cover are typically custodial breaches, meaning you're hearing about Target because of all the people that are affected by Target. You're hearing about, Anthem, or take your pick of your breach of the day. What you don't hear in the media is the continual breaches of intellectual property, companies being broken into to steal trade secrets and those kind of things, which is what most of the data breaches, most of the costly data breaches, you don't ever see those things in the media, because those people aren't the people that buy the ad time on the on the news outlets. So it's just really interesting to me, sitting in the seat that I sit in. And you mentioned dark web and so forth, and the chatter and stuff that we see about thefts and records and secrets and stuff that are posted, throughout the internet. We were online a couple days ago and saw where there's in one of the forums where there was 9 million healthcare records being sold. And the interesting thing about that is that it's one of the first times that I've seen where the records are being sold holistically. Usually they break them up into what we call dumps.
Yep.
So they take 100,000 records here, 100,000 records there, but they're actually selling them. And as of right now, we can't match an announcement with that breach. So somebody's been breached. We couldn't really tell who. So it'll be interesting to see if that shows up anytime soon.
Yeah, it's amazing.
The media.
It's amazing how, you're right. The media doesn't pick up. And besides the big news stories, right there. I mean, I personally, we know of folks that may or may not be our clients that have, crypto logic where they've come in and they've encrypted their drives for a small fee. They'll unencrypt it for you, right?
The ransomware stuff, right?
Tons of that out there, and none of that's making the news. But it is top of mind, and I think one of the big topics I know you and I discussed. We want to make sure that we talk to folks about is that. The security is not just about technology. Yes, we are a technology NextNet Partners. We have the best tech and the best people, and that's, part of what we do. But when it comes to it, our security strategy is not just about technology. It's also about facilities and people and process. And that's a big piece of why we're partnered with Bryant here. Bryant, talk a little bit about that, and some of it may seem obvious once I think you start giving some of the examples, but talk a little bit about that. Security is not just a technology play.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you teed up the ransomware conversation, because ransomware is obviously a technology, right? So there's got to be an infrastructure back in. There's got to be a way to process the payments, and then so the technology itself is affected, but the root cause of that is actually the people, right? So if somebody had to click on something or somebody had to do something, it was a person that caused that. It is or perhaps it's an education and awareness. It's a policy. It's some of those things that actually caused the technical nature of the breach itself. So one of the stories that I've been telling for years is anytime you talk to somebody about the Target breach, and everybody knows, right? So there's, Fazio Mechanical in Strasburg, Pennsylvania, the HVAC guys, they came in with the laptops and so forth. Everybody knows that. The root cause analysis of the Target breach, which actually was not a fundamental breach, the databases were encrypted per PCI requirements. It was a gathering of data over many months. But the problem there was actually a process. There was no vendor risk management program, and what little bit of vendor risk management they did have was not organized properly. So we very strongly encourage clients to know who their vendors are, to know, we have to classify those vendors by tier, right? Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, and each of those vendors has a very specific set of requirements that they have to meet before we're going to, first of all, attach any of our systems to them or do business with them in any kind of a technical way whatsoever. But when you break that down, it was actually a people and a process problem that affected the technology.
Absolutely.
So without covering all four attack vectors, you may have the best technology in the world and, some really, really sharp people at NextNet that do absolutely amazing work. But the fact of the matter is that ransomware comes right by all that technology, and the people on the inside of it click on it, and now we've got to go into incident response mode. So it really is truly a full ring of security that we're able to offer and working with you guys, and how we're able to cover all four of the attack vectors: the people, the process, the technology, and the facilities.
Absolutely. And our piece is, hey, we want to look at from a technology perspective, not to go back to that, but you do have to address it. It's before, during, and after you have a breach, right? And there's a problem. But yeah, people, process, and facilities is very important. That's really where one of the places that we can come in and help with Bryant. So Bryant, another thing that is really exciting is this, this road mapping that we're doing with clients where we, you talked a little bit about it. We talked about vendor classification because it's no longer just about you and your network and your people. It's all the vendors that are connected to you and all that infrastructure that's out there that's connected back and things that people are downloading. But talk a little about measurements because I have a saying I've had for quite some time that, if you don't measure it, you'll never get it, right? So if it's not even real, especially if you're talking about sales or revenue or whatever, you got to measure and look at what you're measuring. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we all know the old cliche, very much to what you were saying, is you can't manage what you can't measure.
That's right.
So what we do is we apply that adage to risk management as it regards to cybersecurity and data management, risk management, and so forth. So the most important thing, one of the biggest questions that I get is how do I know my security program is working? How do I know I'm having any level of success? And very often the executives are, well, we didn't get hacked today. To which I would kind of turn my head sideways and say, well, did you? When the average indicators of compromise that we find, depending on who you talk to, is somewhere between 150 and 200 days. So even if you did get hacked today, at this point you wouldn't know it till about Christmas time, right?
Yep.
So that's just really not an effective way to know what your risk management program looks like with regards to cyber. So what we have to do with that is we have to first of all realize what do we need to measure, right? So where are our control sets? What areas do we need to be considering across the four attack vectors that we've talked about? Do we have specific compliance requirements? Are we HIPAA for healthcare or PCI for payment processing? Because I have yet to find a business, regardless of how specific a vertical is, to find a specific compliance set that actually equals security for that business. So there's some expertise that goes along there to be able to figure out what it is that we have to measure. And then second of all, how do we measure it?
Yep.
Right? So what does the maturity level look like for each one of those control sets? So 0, meaning we're not doing anything at all. There is no business continuity plan. There's no incident response plan, no policies, procedures, no training awareness, right? Take your pick. And then a 5 being where this is fully automated and so forth. So, you have to consider the cost of being a 5, or even the Pentagon isn't a 5 in every control set.
Right.
But the point to all that is now we have a way to know what we need to measure and then how we measure it. So at that point, we can see where we are currently and then where we need to be. Now, the most important thing to that is how do we get to be a mature organization? If a 3 is adequate, say, for a particular control set, then do we have other compensating controls in there, and does that fall within our residual risk? And we're getting a little deep down into the weeds on how we do that. But the most important thing, I think the most important takeaway is know what you have to protect. Right? Know what the control sets are around that, and then be able to measure the level of success, the level of progress in that, and then that will give you your run and maintain, right? So if you take all of those elements and I'm a 2, for example, and I need to get to a 4, then what does that mean exactly? Okay, so a 4, here's the list of the criteria for that, and then in order to do that, I have to have this technology in place. I have to have this documentation. I have to have this awareness at the senior executive level. We have to do this regular cadence of testing and all those kind of things. Whatever those things are, then you can come back and look at this is the OPEX that it's going to cost me, and this is the CAPEX that it's going to cost me. I need this number of human capital resources. I need this amount of technology. We can lay that out on a schedule. Some customers want by quarter, some want by month. So I can show you to the dollar within a rough order of magnitude, of course, what that roadmap looks like to get you all the way through that maturity model.
And where the money's
going. Executives that we work with love that.
Yeah, it's great. No, everybody wants to know, right? Where's the money going? How impactful is it? And what's the roadmap? So, Bryant, thank you so much. This was really great. We try to keep these relatively short. If you want more information on our security practice, our security wheel, what we're working on with Bryant, definitely reach out to anybody at NextNet. You can call us at info@nextnetpartners.com or call us at 602-247-8600. Go to our website, www.nextnetpartners.com. Any one of those places you can catch us, and we can certainly bring Bryant out. And if you haven't registered for the Snowden event yet, please do. You can, once again, reach out to us, and we'll put you on the mailing list and make sure you get the invite. And thank you, Bryant, once again. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll catch you on the next show.
Thank you, Phil.
And we go.